All right, so we'll go ahead and call the school board meeting into session, and as usual, we'll go through each item on the agenda. That was the call to order, and that brings us to the approval of the agenda. And I do have a couple of changes, colleagues, so let me read those out. On the consent agenda, we added item 7.17, appropriation of District 2 School Board member capital outlay funds to Mary Esther Elementary School for window coverings. On item 7.4, approval to name the new K-8 school in Crestview, Florida was moved to discussion, and that will be agenda item 9.1 now. And then on the discussion agenda, we added 9.1, approval to name the new K-8 school in Crestview, Florida. So, my friends, I need a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bryant.
Second.
Second by Mr. Heinley. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. All right, that takes us down to section 3, recognitions. 3.1 will be the recognition of the winners of the pedestrian safety poster contest held by Healthy Communities Okaloosa County Health Improvement Partnership, presented by Superintendent Chambers. Superintendent.
Thank you, Dr. White and School Board. And as you can see, we have with us today, we have members from the Sheriff's Department. We have our amazing mayor from Crestview, Mayor Whitten. And then we also have others from the community who are a part of this venture. And before Mayor Whitten begins to speak, I do want to say, like we shared this morning, we shared some of the information about some of the students who won the art contest, but even more specifically and closer to home, we had a situation several years ago where we had one of our crosswalkers save the lives of some students in Crestview and pulled them back out of the traffic and literally saved their lives. And so this contest, which is fantastic, and we have some winners here, but I think the larger picture is making sure that we have safety as it pertains to pedestrians across Okaloosa County. And for you, Mayor, and the Sheriff's Department and the Fort Walton Beach Police Chief Beige to be here to support this venture for our students is something that we very much appreciate. Mayor?
I want to make sure I have a live mic. Worst thing you can do is give me a dead mic. You know that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, thank all of you for letting us come. It's been a whole year. In fact, I thought I got lost when I came in. I didn't recognize the board meeting room. But this event we do every year is truly a great partnership. Okaloosa County Health Improvement Partnership falls under the County Health Department. So they partner with agencies like the police departments, the Sheriff's Department, city government, independent agencies, EMS. We all come together to present certain programs. And like we did last year, the pedestrian safety program, we'd like to put it out to the kids for the contest. And so we appreciate the time this evening to go ahead and present those. And I'm going to turn the microphone over to Captain Fulgham, who's going to announce the winners, and then we'll do the pictures and all those kind of things. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. So we have winners in several different divisions, from elementary, middle school, high school, the committee's choice, and this year a new division for the VPK kids. So to start with, the elementary school winner is Kelsey Del Chundins from Laurel Hill Middle School.
You got to show it this way too, Chief. Awesome. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Awesome. Yes, sir. Cool.
Each one of the winners gets a $100 gift certificate.
Good.
Some swag from the Florida Department of Transportation, and a certificate signed by all the local mayors.
Oh, wow. Cool. Yeah. There you go.
You definitely want, this is the one that has money in it. Definitely want that. Now, don't
That's cute. Yeah.
Our middle school winner is Mackenzie Linger from Shoal River Middle School.
And I know her principal's here too, Dr. Driver. Yeah. Very good. Awesome.
Our high school winner is Asher Gullery from Crestview High School.
Oh, yeah.
This year's Committee's Choice Awards goes to Miss Daniels' class from Richburg Middle School, Richburg School. And the new category this year was from BPK. We partnered with the Early Learningship Coalition to get this one accomplished, and if those folks would like to come up as well from the Early Learningship Coalition.
Welcome.
Yep. And this award goes to Miss Tita's class and Miss Jinka's class, Stepping Stones Roan School. In Okaloosa County, we have about 157 vehicle versus pedestrian or bicycle crashes a year. And, you know, that's not a large number in compared to the vehicle accidents we have. But when you stop and think about the fact that about 18% of the pedestrian and bicycle crashes results in serious injury or fatality. And most of those crashes involve our children. And what most people don't realize is, in the majority of them, the pedestrian is the ones that fall. So it's very, very important to get this message out at an early age, and we really appreciate Mr. Chambers and the rest of the school system allowing us to work with the kids and have this fantastic program.
Yeah.
And we have two limited edition commemorative winners posters that we'll leave here with the school board if you want to have them for you, Mr. Chambers, or however you want to leave them in the school board. They'll commemorate each one of the top three from each division.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief. Thank all of you. It's a great program.
Appreciate it.
All right, so Superintendent, that'll bring us now to 3.2, a proclamation of National Education Support Professionals Day, presented by yourself, sir.
Thank you, Dr. White and School Board. So we have a proclamation that we're going to present to the almost 2,000 educational support professionals that work with the Okaloosa County school system. And we have a group of them who are here with us this evening as well. But before I read the proclamation, I do want to say, you think about a school system, and the very first students that make their way to school are going to be met by educational support professionals. and many of those will be our bus drivers. And it's that bus ride to school that sets the tone for the day, but then they get to the school and they interact with front office secretaries, or they interact with custodians, they interact with educational support professionals. And there's so many different categories that we have at the school level and at the district level that make this school system run. Behind me, we talk about the next generation of Okaloosa schools. And up at the very top is OCSD family. And each and every individual that works in this county is an integral part of the gears. And I talk about gears all the time. You have to have all the gears working in sync in order for that clock to run, in order for a school system to run. And no gear is more important than the others. And educational support professionals, I'll just tell you from my standpoint, from a former principal, from being superintendent of schools, if I did not have the educational support professionals supporting me along the way, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I know that our principals, those of you who are up here at this board, those who are sitting here in the audience, they fully echo that. You talk to students and they notice, and it's that individual that comes up to them and gives them that warm smile, or if they're a little upset for the day and gives them a little bit of that re-encouragement. I think that's what it's all about. But in our school system, I just cannot share enough that it takes each and every one of us to make a difference for our students. And we said earlier today, public education is hard. It's hard. And whether you're a teacher, secretary, media aide, bus driver, custodian, and food services, everybody's role has a significance into making a difference. So I just want to say thank you. And I know our school board is going to have some words as well. But before we do that, Dr. White, I think I'll read the proclamation.
Sure.
Education Support Professionals Day. And that's what we're talking about right now. And this is a proclamation that our school board will put into action. Whereas public schools are the backbone of our democracy, providing young people with the tools they need to maintain our nation's precious values of freedom, civility, and equality. And whereas educational support professionals are an integral part of the education process. Whereas education support professionals work tirelessly to serve our children and communities with care and professionalism. And whereas on a daily basis, our education support professionals take great pride in using their numerous skills, which are rooted in human relations, communication, verbal presentations, technical knowledge, use of resources, and positive personality traits. And whereas the educational support professionals in our school district are to be commended for the professional manner in which they perform their duties, they put forth effort, individually and collectively, to assure that our educational system will continue to have prosperity and success. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the School Board of Okaloosa County, Florida, does hereby recognize and proclaim November 2024 and the 20th day as the National Education Support Professionals Day, and urges all employees in the entire community to join in this observance by expressing grateful appreciation to the education support professionals for their commitment and dedication to the school system. Adopted this 12th day of November, 2024.
Thank you, Superintendent. And colleagues, you'll notice on your agenda is, I have just noticed, this is an action item, and so we need a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Heinley.
I'll second it.
Second by Ms. Evanchek. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. All right, Superintendent.
And Dr. White, we do have an actual proclamation that is framed that we'd like to present, but Mr. Strong, you might have some words before that? All right. And I think this would be good.
Okay.
School board?
All right, all of us, okay.
take a bunch, so just keep smiling. Thank you.
Well, I was going to call a recess. So everybody could leave.
They saved you the trouble.
I think there's a
looked up and
big
saw that.
basketball game on.
Yeah, okay. All right. All right, so thank you, Superintendent. That's a great presentation. And I know I agree with everything the proclamation said and more. So thank you for doing that. Anything else, colleagues, about that? Okay.
Great to see him.
Yep. All right, so in Section 4, we have no administrative personnel appointments. Section 5 have public comment. Ms. Mary, any cards tonight? Okay. That'll take us down to committee and staff reports, workshop only. Then we go to consent agenda. 7.1 will be the approval of the consent agenda. So I need a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bryant,
Second.
second by Ms. Gardner. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. All right, so that takes us way down. And we come to Section 8, recommendations on human resources. So 8.1 and 8.2 are both information only. First would be employees on administrative leave, and the second was deferred retirement program. 8.3, employment separations presented by Dr. Hale and recommended by the superintendent.
I'll move it.
Motion by Ms. Gardner,
Second.
second by Mr. Bryant. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. 8.4, personnel recommendations presented by Dr. Hale and recommended by the superintendent.
I'll move it.
Motion by Ms. Evancheck,
Second.
second by Mr. Heinley. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. 8.5, employee transfers presented by Dr. Hale and recommended by the superintendent.
I'll move
So
it.
moved.
I'll
That was
second.
close, okay.
I'll second.
All right, then, thank you. Motion by Mr. Heinley, second by Ms. Gardner. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. And then 8.6, leave without pay, presented by Dr. Hale and recommended by the superintendent.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bryant,
Second.
second by Mr. Heinley. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Now that brings us to 9.1. This was an item that was moved from consent to discussion. 9.1 is approval to name the new K-8 school in Crestview, presented by Ms. Linda Vancheck, board member, and recommended by the superintendent. And Ms. Vancheck, you were the one that asked to have this item moved to discussion, so ma'am, I'll call on you.
Well, okay, and so we're about to get the wait over, right? Okay. And I thank you, board members, for allowing me to move that to discussion. As I said this morning, I find this a very historical event for our school district, and I felt like it deserved an item besides just going down on the consent agenda. So I know we're all excited about being able to build this K-8 school in north part of Crestview. I am particularly excited because it does happen to sit geographically in District 3, which is the area of which I was elected to serve. It is a rare situation that we get to be a board that gets to see a new school built. I didn't get the statistics on when our last school was built, but it's been several years, and I'm excited. So I wanted to, for the public, to explain the process of how we got here. Over the past few weeks, Mr. Meyer has worked with administrators in the district to get nominations for naming the school. That was listed, that went down to, it was narrowed down to some top contenders. And then after that, much discussion about that, there was a short list, and I was given that list and told that I get the privilege of looking at that list and making a choice. And then I met with the superintendent, who also made a choice. And as it was, kind of figured, we went in and we had two different names. So, but here's the interesting thing, and I will say that Mr. Chambers was very open to my suggestion, and we began a dialogue on giving some information why each one went with the other. The interesting thing is we eliminated, I think there was about 5, we eliminated a couple right away, left us to 3. I had 1, he had 1, and guess what? We didn't go with either one of those, we went with the third one. And that's why it's so good to collaborate, because we went through a lot of different information that we found out and then decided what would be the best. So, Mr. Chairman, it is my privilege tonight to make the motion that we name the new K through 8 school in Crestview Pine View School.
Ah, very good, interesting. Pine View.
She made the motion.
Need a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Bryant seconds. Any discussion?
Do we have some back
Story, yeah.
story on
Why?
this? Why Pine View?
All right?
You were waiting for that, weren't you?
Well, and I want Mr. Chambers to kind of come in, because he helped with some of that, because this land there, believe it or not, is kind of hilly, which you don't see, in our area, and it has a lot of beautiful Florida pines there all around, and is very beautiful, and we just thought, truly, the view is the Pine View. And also, being in the location in North Crestview, that kind of pulls from that. And we just thought that it fit. And if you want to add to that.
No, absolutely. And I think there were, like Ms. Ivanchek said, there were a number of great suggestions. I would add, and Mrs. Ivanchek and this board was so excited that not only did employees submit names, but our students also submitted names as well. So that was exciting. But when you look at Pine View, and when you go down that bypass, lanes and lanes, miles and miles of pines, right? And then you look at where we are in the geographic location of the Crestview area, and that connection to the west side as well. But bringing the pines and the Crestview, the view together, but then also when you drive out of that area and there's elevation and you can see down into trees, you can see down, and I won't necessarily say valleys, so to speak, but you can definitely see down. So the view there is pretty gorgeous. So when you take all of that into consideration, Pine View is the school name that came out as the name that will represent our newest school. And Ms. Ivanchek, the last school was back in the 2007-2008 area, where we have principal over here with us tonight, Dr. Driver at Shoal River, and of course Riverside Elementary. And even though Ms. Hayden's not at either of those two schools, but she's here as well, so we want to give her a shout out as well. But that's kind of where we are. That's kind of how we ended up landing on Pine View.
All right.
And before we take a vote, I just want to thank you, Mr. Chambers, for giving me so much latitude. I like this kind of stuff, and I was very excited, enthusiastic, and it means a lot to me. I think it's a neat thing to say that I've been a part of this journey, and I appreciate you allowing that. Thank you, sir.
So who will do the mascot and the colors? I'm already
Okay,
thinking
so,
about the cheerleading outfits, football,
Now that
what
you
color?
went there.
Now, that's not, the motion is
No,
the
no,
name
no,
of the
no.
Oh, we
school.
haven't.
We don't, no,
Okay.
that's not
Okay.
a vote, but.
Right, right.
Well, we just kind of are playing around with the idea of the black bears, because they're up in that area. But I believe the superintendent's going to have some input later when when an administration team is made.
Yes.
So we're not putting that in this motion to set it, but just a
I think it'd be good for that principal, whoever the principal might be, to have a hand in the mascot, the colors, and so forth.
yes.
All right, so any further discussion?
Yeah, I do,
Okay.
since me and Ms. Sabanchek will share that area up there, and I know that's going to be in her zone, but we work so good together as a team, you know, up in that area, so I'm excited about that. But I appreciate the fact that we incorporated two things that are very true to Crestview. And the history of Crestview goes back well before it was a city. And pine trees were one of the big industries in the area with logging, but turpentine. Turpentine was really big. And then also the history of the railroad going through kind of got to where Crestview got its name, because the engineers would talk about how they would come over the high point at Shoal River coming into the area there, and just like the view itself was full of pine trees, just a beautiful view is what everybody would say. And it was at the crest of a high point in Crestview. A lot of people don't realize that Crestview is one of the highest points in Florida. I think about 270 feet above sea level. So you can imagine what they, you know, traveling along a flat land most of the time, and then you get to this point in Crestview and see this beautiful view. And, you know, I'm fortunate to be able to live in such a beautiful community. I'm glad to see our mayor is here tonight for that, and some of our administrators that are also up in the Crestview area. So I think it's fitting. It works, pine, and then the view. So excited for the name.
Good choice. Like it.
Okay, all right. Anybody else? So we're ready to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you for all your work on that, Ms. Evangelist.
Hey, it was,
Yeah.
I loved it. It was great.
All right.
Thank you.
Superintendent, you too. All right, so that now takes us to Section 10, Construction Program Owners Representatives Business. 10.1 is a program report by our representative, Mr. Bryant. Mr. Bryant.
Thank you, Dr. White, and everybody should have received a copy of our meeting today. And it's an honor that our former board member, Dr. Kelly, is sitting out here, because she was our construction representative up until a few months ago. So I was tasked to fill in that remaining few months, and Ms. Gardner actually sat in for a meeting for me. But we do have some good things going on, and I just want you to be aware that all of our multi-purpose room buildings now are in the hands of the schools. As a matter of fact, we turned the keys over to Niceville High School, was it today? Yeah, so all of our multi-purpose buildings are now property of the Okaloosa County School District outright. And that's really exciting. And the fact that we got them done before schedule, that says a lot, especially for Niceville. That was a challenge within itself. And if you are familiar with the campus, it's hard to put anything else in there. So, but we did. And so it's exciting for Niceville. I know we'll have a ribbon cutting soon for that. Our cafetoriums are well on their way to being done. We only have 2 left. Plu actually has started serving lunches out of their cafeteria last week, and we have Shalimar, which should be done during the Christmas break and ready to start serving students when they come back. And then Bob Sykes Elementary, looking probably around March timeframe, if as the earliest we might be able to get in there, depending on some of the equipment and everything. Ms. Vanchek, you'll like this. Task order number 32, the Florosa Elementary School roof coating has begun on the main building roof. I know I'm excited about task order number 33, because this is the softball press box concession buildings at Fort Walton Beach High School in Crestview. And Mr. Meyer has told me that we're actually starting construction on those. So exciting. I see Miss Hayden back there shaking her head. Yes.
And you see me shaking my head
Yes.
for Fort Walton.
Fort Walton
This is
Beach.
a long time coming.
Yes,
This is,
it's about
I mean,
6
this was
years.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
And then task order number 34 is the sales tax projects at Meigs and Destin Middle School. The work is complete at Destin Middle School with the yeah, it's pretty much all done. The exterior canopy was installed, and if you've had a chance to go over there and take a look, it really looks good. The Meigs, Dr. White, I know you appreciate this. The Meigs old front office. I will tell you, I was there a couple weeks ago, and I'm sure Dr. White's been in there. It was amazing what it looks like now, but I mean, just all the history that's in there. That went back to when it was Choctaw High School. So, but to see all of that in there gives me an appreciation to people like Dr. White, who was principal at Meigs, and had a vested interest in there. To see the history of that, but to know that when we're done with that particular project, how it's going to enhance the front of that school. So really excited to see when that's all done. I know all of us will be. Task order number 35, the new Crestview K-8 school.
Which you can now change the name.
That's right. Pineview School. We've actually we're clearing the land. We'll be having a groundbreaking ceremony in December. Right now, everything's on target to be August of 2026. So, as a matter of fact, I went down Arena Road today. I wish I wouldn't have, because it turned my poor wife's car red with all the clay and the dirt. But it was kind of neat to look down the road there, knowing that things are happening right down Inzer Road is what it's called. By the way, we do have an address for there too. Mr. Grant, what was it?
We got it.
5200 Inzer Road.
I got it.
And then also the Destin Elementary School. Ms. Gardner, I know you're really excited about this. The 345 Center will soon be breaking ground as well. Ms. Savanchek, I know you're excited about this, is the classroom addition at Baker School. And right now, we're just, the Destin Elementary Center, I take that back, is out for bid. And then the Baker addition, the drawings and specifications have been received and under review. Task order 37, this is something that Mr. Chambers loves to talk about, because these are projects that we can complete now instead of taking years, and that's our HVAC projects. And I can tell you, when I first got on the board, Fort Walton Beach High School, Mr. Spolsky, I know we were like 8 years into replacing air conditioning units because we couldn't afford to do them all at one time. So Fort Walton Beach cooling tower foundations are in place, and boring for the electrical service is complete. And then Mary Esther Elementary, the mechanical equipment and curbs have begun arriving on site. And then finally, task order number 39 is something that I know Ms. Hayden and I are really excited about, is the paving of the parking lot at Crestview High School. And if you've ever been there, we affectionately call it Eglin's other bombing range, because it's that bad sometimes. But I know Ms. Hayden, myself, and everybody that's involved in it, because we had a chance to say something at the SAC meeting a couple weeks ago, that it's going to get started. Instead of waiting until the summer, we're going to start in sections. So really excited about that. But as you can see, board members, you do have more on here. We just wanted to highlight the items that are ongoing right now, but you can see there's a lot more going on. I will just like to say to Mr. Meyer, Dr. Smith, everybody that was on that construction committee, I appreciate, again, just being able to serve. And again, like I said to Dr. Kelly out there, thank you for your service on it. So, but in a couple of weeks, we'll probably have somebody new doing it. So.
Well, I guess that preempts that question.
Well, I did say, and to be fair, when I was asked to finish up Dr. Kelly's term, I did say that I would only want to just finish out her term. So
That's right, you did.
And Mr. Bryan, are we still saying that, and I could be totally wrong on this, that the Destin Elementary 3 through 5 Center, we're looking at August of 2026 for
that
the?
is correct.
Okay.
I
I'd finish earlier, but the start would be, okay.
Well, and I did ask that question because, you know, we
We've
have
been
to answer the
asked.
constituents. But Destin's gonna be a little bit easier. There's no trees to clear out or anything like that. There's already open spot out there, so it should be pretty easy to get started. And once it's going up, so it's not gonna have to be spread out.
So
So
we're
it
going to
should-
say August 2026, that class will go through.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
Good report. Thank you,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bryan.
Thank you.
Okay, we do have a couple of action items in this section. So 10.2, Jacobs Titan Capital Outlay Program Number 6, Partial Shared Savings, Task Orders 15, 17, 20, and 21, presented by Dr. Smith and recommended by the superintendent.
I'll move it.
Second.
All right, motion by Ms. Vancheck, second by Mr. Bryant. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. And then 10.3, TPM Program Number 6, Task Order Number 44, Scope Mod Number 1, Pre-GMP for 24-25, Priority Roofing Projects, presented by Dr. Smith and recommended by the Superintendent.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Heinley,
Second.
second by Ms. Gardner. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Mr. Attorney, your business, sir.
No report tonight.
Thank you. Superintendent.
Thank you, Dr. White, School Board. I do not have any other bits of information to share tonight, as you know. This morning, we shared our legislative priorities. We also had an Okaloosa Public Schools Foundation update. We unveiled the groundbreaking of Pine View School. But I do want to say tonight, we have a school board member who this is her last school board meeting. And I do have a plaque, and I know some of you may have some things as well, but I want to start off by saying, Miss Marty Gardner, when you look at over 44 years of service to this school district. Now think about that, 44 years. It didn't say 24, 34, we said 44 years of
I
service.
think I was 13 or 14 when I started.
I was going to say she was probably 6 when she started, or younger. But I say service purposefully. And whether it was on the instructional side, whether it was principal, whether it was district staff, whether it was school board member, Mrs. Gardner is someone who serves. She has a heart for children. She has a heart for younger children, but she has a heart for all children. And when you look at educators and you say, you know, what makes up an educator? You know, it's someone who has that heart. It's someone who cares about kids. It's someone who puts others before themselves. And Mrs. Gardner has done that, again, for over 44 years. A family of educators, going back to her father, her husband, and what she has done is nothing less than remarkable. Every position she's held with the highest of esteem, and she's really reached the pinnacle in every single venture that she's gone through. And I call it a venture because sometimes it is exactly
It was.
just that. But I've had the privilege to work with her as principals. I've had the privilege to work with her here at the district staff. And I think during that time, especially because that was close working relationships, we did a lot. And a lot of that was with Mrs. Lightbourne, with Mrs. Gardner, in terms of the things that we were able to accomplish. But her heart, again. And then as a school board member, what she's done, not just for the Destin community, but absolutely the Destin community, but for Fort Walton, for Crestview, for Niceville, this entire area, Baker, Laurel Hill. So when you look at 44 years of service, I could go on and on.
You don't have to. You can stop.
I could absolutely go on and on because of the personal knowledge of the type of person Marty is, and I say Marty purposefully, but even more so the educator. She is just an absolutely outstanding individual. So you will be missed, but before we do any of this, some school board members might be here, and I do want to also say we have Dr. Kelly, who came back for you tonight, who's with us in the audience. So we appreciate that.
Well, I'm going to have to point out, too, my dear friend. You know it's a dear friend when she gets dressed, makeup, and she comes to be here to be with me tonight, and it's also her birthday.
Oh.
So I can't look at you, and I can't look at her, so you're seeing me look down because of, but it means a lot. Happy birthday, by the way.
Yeah, happy birthday. So colleagues, Mr. Bryant, anything?
Well, knowing her as well as I do, I said all I had to say before the meeting because I know she is a very humble person, but her heart is so big that, you know, if I say anything else, I don't want her just to start crying up
Of
here.
course.
But I will say, Ms. Gardner, Marty, thank you for your service. Thank you for everything that you've done. And I have truly enjoyed being your colleague here. There's times that I've looked down at you and just see you smiling and just know that you're in it for the right reasons. And you're going to be missed, but I know those grands are going to love you so much knowing that you're going to be there with them. And I know you're still going to fight for public education.
Absolutely.
So from my heart, thank you so much for your service, and I'm going to miss being right beside you.
And I
so.
shared that I'm going to be able to fight more for public education because now I can say whatever I want to say. And I don't have to worry about the attorney calling me later. And I am so ready to make these comments on Facebook. And Cassie, I've just been.
He's already asked for blue cards and yellow cards.
Yes, so I just can't wait, and I won't have to worry about when I pick up my phone and I see Mr. McGinnis's name, and then I go, oh, shoot, what did I do this time? So just call and say hi, and we go to lunch, but I won't be in trouble.
Well, let me call on Mr. Heinley in case you have anything, Mr. Heinley, and
Yes, I want everyone to know that Mrs. Gardner was my principal for my children at Blue Water. It was a very short,
That wasn't funny.
yeah. Very short time together, but very enjoyable time, and the best of luck in your future.
Well,
Thank you,
And
Mr.
I've just been so impressed that you jumped right in. We haven't been able to get to know each other because we are so far this way, but you're already an excellent school board member. The questions you ask, I mean, it's just, but thank you. Been very impressed. I'm glad you joined us.
Well, and I'll just go ahead and add a couple of things, Miss Marty. You know, I've known you and your family just about my whole life, and your dad was a dear friend, and of course your mom, and we worked together and taught and coached and all those things, and of course Al and I had the chance to work together, and just another wonderful person, and just want to say how much I've appreciated you. And having you on this school board and the contributions you've made, and I may have to figure out some way with the lawyer we can give you a permanent card.
Okay,
You can just come back whenever you want to. But
I'll keep my badge.
yeah, well, hey, listen, we really appreciated everything you've done, Marty. You were awesome. Okay, there's one other person. Let me call on her, Ms. Ivanchek.
Miss Gardner, Miss Marty.
You scare me.
No, you know, one thing, Mark, you know, when you have a longtime friend and everything, you got to say good things because you got some stuff on each other. So we got to do that. But no, just like others, I've known you and your family, worked with your mom, who was wonderful. Of course, you and I were on opposite high schools at the time, but and we still kid about that. But we all know it's for the good cause. But as far as, I mean, first of all, you are an exemplary educator. I mean, when you look up educator, it should say C. Marty Gardner. But as a board member, what I always really enjoyed, because you came from a different area of education than I did, is how you champion, even as late as this morning when we were talking, those little people. I never taught children that young, but that is so essential, and we were talking about this morning, and again, you were advocating, yes, we need to get the funding for that, you know, VPK and all that, and I'll always remember that because I think that is so essential, you know, to ultimately the important thing, the whole thing of being strong. So I'm going to miss you so much, and I'm so glad that Dr. Kelly came back tonight, because I'm mad at both of you, because you know, when you go, guess what?
Yeah.
I get the guys. Because when Mr. Destin comes in, but no, I have lots of respect for all these gentlemen, and they are gentlemen, and but I do hope that the two of you will come in every once in a while. I may have to call you up and go, come on in, I need some help with the guys.
Now we can go to lunch and we don't have to worry about the sunshine.
That's right, I can call you. But Miss Gardner, there's something that I've been wanting to give you, the board's been wanting to give you for a while. And I think that you'll see the significance of this particular thing. But we wanted to give you this because and it says the dates that you've been on the board. And we hope that you'll cherish this and everything, this beautiful thing, because it's as lovely as you. And hopefully it'll remind you of all the good times we've had on this. So I'm going to present this to you. And then I believe our gentlemen have a little something for you.
Oh, my goodness.
Second. And then we'll get this out. Because they want you to be able to fill this vase with some beautiful things. So
I love fresh flowers, and I'm already thinking about what I'm going to do for a Christmas arrangement. That is gorgeous.
so there you go, my friend. Yeah, there you go. And then The guys have some, you want to fill it up with some pretty to enjoy, and
That's heavy.
best wishes. You know, there's even the
Those are
Bible says
gorgeous.
there's a season for everything, and you've had this season, and you're going to the next one. But don't be a stranger, girl. We love you.
I won't be. We'll do lunch or something.
You bet.
And my plaque?
And the last thing we have for you is also a plaque from school board, myself, school district, and this is presented to Miss Marty Gardner as a member of the Okaloosa County School Board, 2020 to 2024 as a school board member, and then it lists some of the accolades. But we're just so
I appreciate it.
appreciative.
It's really
That's for
beautiful.
you as well.
That is gorgeous. Thank
And we're
you.
going to take a picture. Do you think it looks fine with us up here, or did you?
Well, do we want to wait till we adjourn and then we go down?
Let's
Mrs.
wait till
Vancheck in true leadership style doing a very great suggestion. I like that even better. So afterwards, we'll take a picture together.
Let's do that.
All right.
And I was going to say, Ms. Vancheck, I am not worried at all with you having to keep these gentlemen in shape right here.
You know, the superintendent told me that.
Okay, I don't have. Thank you so much for this. And to the board, I just have felt honored to be a part of this. I appreciate that the voters 4 years ago allowed me to do this. I did speak with Mr. Bryant earlier, but his encouragement, his support 4 years ago have really meant the world to me. I have worked with with many boards over the past, 44 years sounds so old, 44 years, and we've had some really strong boards and maybe some not so strong. But I'm going to have to say that this board would be up there in the top 5, if not higher. And anybody who wants to doubt that means they just don't know this board, the commitment, the work that's put in. We truly have an outstanding board. And I know that you're going to continue fighting for public education. Mr. Tim, I can just say Tim now. Tim and I were talking about that earlier. I am truly concerned about public education, what's happening to public education, and I know that he is a strong advocate. Not only is he right here in Okaloosa County, but he's also the president of our Florida School Board Association, so I know his voice. He's very well respected. I know his voice is going to be out there and fighting for public education. We know that public education serves all students, not just selected students, but it does serve all students, and what a great disservice if we don't keep public education. And I just want to say real quickly, my mom wanted to be here tonight, and I talked her into not coming, and she's watching. Hi, Mom. And I know she's really upset
Hi, Miss
that
Betty.
she's not here. But I just want to say that back in probably 1953, 54, and I'm not going to carry you from 54 to 2024, but my mom and dad came to Okaloosa County. Dad was offered a coaching position. And during my early years, I watched my dad go out and get contributions and for boys. We didn't have title back at the time, so we're talking about just football players and basketball players, boys, to get shoes for those students, for those boys that couldn't afford that. I didn't realize that I was meeting some of the famous coaches in my living room that Dad had called in to get some of these young men scholarships so they could go on to school. I watched my mom. I can't tell you how many Choctawhatchee High School floats were built in our driveway and how much my dad fussed at her about that. I also watched my mom do things such as get scholarships for students who couldn't afford to, or help those students to graduate, or even help some of these young men and women get jobs just so they could stay in school. So my whole life, they were my role models, and giving back and helping those students, children, young adults that needed help more than others. And that has always been my goal, is to try to reach out and help those individuals that need us more than maybe some others. I want to say I'm somewhat successful because I do look back at my 2 boys and I can see that in them. can I undo this? I can see that in them, that they have that compassion, they have that empathy for others, and I think that's so important in today's time, as especially educators, that we model and show that compassion and support those that need us the most. And again, hi, Mom. I'm sorry, Dr. White. I know I said I will be watching. The Nelson ratings will go up. However, I know my mom will not be watching anymore, so it's going to stay status quo. I have other things to say, but overall, just thank you so much. This is a real bittersweet moment. Today, when we started talking about VPK and what we're looking at, I was like, ooh, that was kind of one of those moments that I want to be here. But you have my phone numbers. I have your phone numbers. Mr. Chambers, I have worked with many superintendents. Your compassion, and people may not always agree with your decisions, but I have worked with you, and I know firsthand any decision that you make, you always make it for what's the best interest of the students. And I so admire you for that. I respect you as our leader, but also as a true friend. I can call you Marcus now also. But I would say you are in the top 3 as far as superintendents. And you'll be hearing from me. I will be calling. I'm going to stop there, but I'm just so thankful to have been able to be a part of this. And thank you for this and for this.
Okay, thank you.
We can adjourn now.
We're getting close. Now, I didn't miss anyone, did I, on board members' business?
No, and I meant to say thank you, Dr. Kelly, for coming out tonight also. I know being a principal all day, I know how difficult that is. It truly does mean a lot, so thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, so any more cards down there, Ms. Mary? No cards, okay. So that takes us through 14 and brings us to adjournment, but as customary, Superintendent, anything?
Nothing further.
Mr. Attorney, we're good? Staff, association, we're all good? All right, this meeting is adjourned.
That's a wrap.
All right, now we need.
And I